Lead, inspire, motivate, and empower. Welcome to Lead with DX, your guide to digital transformation in a complex world. Here are your hosts, Lars and Wasantha Wirakuni, the founders of Tech One Global and Enadoc.
Hello, Wasantha.
Hi, Lars. How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good. Welcome back from your first business trip in, what, 2 years plus almost?
This is the second one, Lars.
Really?
Last month also I was in Bangladesh, yes. And
No, but you just came back from Bangladesh and then
Yes.
did you go to Bangladesh in between?
Yes. Last month also I was in Bangladesh, actually.
Oh, okay, yes. Okay, they're getting a lot of love from you, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
Attention from me.
But really, in my head, the real concern I'm seeing these days is, of course, the situation in Sri Lanka. So, I think, of course, I have been involved in Sri Lanka business and friends and almost family since the 90s, right? Early 90s. I used to travel to Sri Lanka during the civil war and unrest and things. But during that time, still, it was also always going better and better. And it's like a growth ahead of us and things. But now it's like stuck, I feel.
Yeah, Lars. So it was not expected. And it was not really expected. But
I don't know. I mean, I don't also get political, but there was a lot of things going on the past 2-3 years where the question was really like, what is going to be the future? And of course, then COVID happened, and I think that has really been for many economies which have been running on the kind of the edge. Was it's like a perfect storm, right? First you have a fragile situation, economic situation, and then you have COVID. And then as soon as COVID is over, where we could kind of almost go back to normal, the war in Ukraine, or as the Russians want to call it, the military action in Ukraine is happening and creating another kind of scenario for the world. So now it's really like what you call a perfect storm. So what is it? What is it really that people in business can do? Because at the end of the day, the way to grow out of this situation will be through making money, right? I mean, you cannot spend money; you have to make money to solve a problem. So,
Absolutely.
What is it that is there?
So, Lars, I think at this situation right now, I believe there are few things as businesses we should do. One is we should try to minimize the resources that we have to involve, which we don't have in Sri Lanka, like anything that we import. For an example, fossil fuel are becoming the biggest hurdle for as of today. So the transport, power generation, at least the power we need. So if you keep power running, and if businesses go as much as digital possible, right, and probably we can reduce the impact of the fossil fuel we use for transport. So that's one important thing. I think we should. That is the first step. The way I see. And
Yeah, I mean, it's of course, one of the things is that during COVID, we have been forced to work from home because we could not go to the office for health reasons, right? I mean,
but it worked. It worked.
Yeah,
It worked.
no, that's fine. What I mean is that during this time, individuals like you and me as well have also saved money on transportation cost and things like this. I mean, we did not have to spend money on fuel really for almost 2 years, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, and of course now the situation is that we can go to the office, and now the fuel is up. So it's either we can look at it, okay, now all the money I saved the last 2 years, I'm going to spend it on higher fuel costs the next 2 years. but it's still going to take you 2 years because we are still talking about incremental extra cost, right? Well, I can see here, for example, it's almost like double from the lowest point I remember here to the highest point, which is probably now. But at the end of the day, we really transformed into a different kind of environment. I mean, in the last few days, I've seen a lot of writing, including Elon Musk saying if you don't render 40 hours in the office minimum, you can leave the company, right? So there's a lot of pressure to bring people back, but I don't know if it's really the time right now, and if it ever will be the time, right? I mean, I think for us in our company, this hybrid setup has been a way that we now work.
Absolutely. So every industry and every business may not be able to go fully digital, but if we say that 50% of the businesses go digital, or 50% of people, so we reduce the commuting by 50%, right? Which will definitely is going to help.
Well, I mean, a big part of any GDP in any country today is services, right? So
Absolutely.
services is something that very often can be done remotely. I mean, it was actually quite funny because when we have our, so Philippines is one of the big things, is that is one of the few countries in the world where I think cockfighting is still legal and widely spread out. And as a result of that, almost in every home that you have, you can hear a rooster or a cock in the background, at any time of the day. And very often in our calls, we can hear that. And then the other day I was, I'm going to travel end of the week, and I was getting ready for that. So I called my bank to say, okay, from this day to this date, we'll be traveling and the credit card will be used in this location. And in the background of the girl I'm talking to from the bank is a rooster, right? So obviously she's working from home. And then the question is, why not? Why should she have to go to the office to answer that call? What is it that she can do in the office that she cannot do at home? And of course, the culture is, well, we build companies, we build profitability in the office. Okay, but what about the people? I mean, I don't know. I cannot talk for her, but I think it's been pretty cool to be closer to the family, being at home, spending more time with the kids, getting more involved with them than in the past, where you come home, you have dinner, and then go to bed, and then wake up early in the morning, and where you live your life outside. But of course, now in Sri Lanka, the situation is not COVID anymore, but now the cost, and that maybe be the difference, is that you feel you didn't have to stay at home, but now you have to stay at home, right?
Yeah, and Lars, actually, honestly speaking, the current situation, if you look at oil prices and the other commodity prices, we are not very far from what is happening in the region. Probably even you can compare. Maybe it's petrol or whatever, the fossil fuel has doubled, right? The pricing for whole region, I think, including Philippines. So, but what had happened to Sri Lanka is basically, since we are in a situation of that stress, so this becoming highlighted, and the currency devaluation has created the kind of scenario everybody is in a shock. So that is what has happened. But we have not become more expensive or than any other country.
How much is a liter of gasoline?
It is around, let's say, the 450. Let's say this average.
Yeah, I tanked yesterday for 572 rupees per liter,
so,
right? Yeah. So almost 100 rupees more per liter, and I'm not seeing that kind of I think it's just because everything is adding up. I mean,
yes,
of course, right. I didn't have to wait also 24 hours to get my fuel. I can get fuel anywhere I want, but the price is no different. So now what is keeping me at home is maybe the cost of commuting, right? And not not that because of health reasons I'm not allowed.
Absolutely.
But the result is the same. We are not going out for whatever reason, right? Now we are expecting to go vacationing and go, maybe road tripping and stuff, and now we feel that we are hindered in that. But as a business, okay, so let's look at some of the positive aspects of this. What is it that a business can do to kind of, in a certain way, materialize or build on this and turn this into maybe, if not an opportunity, at least an opportunity for something?
So I think, not every business, but ICT business is having a great opportunity because, they can work from anywhere and they can supply to anybody as well, right? So cross-border supplies. So I think there are many industries who can still do remoting and looking at export opportunities, especially with a currency which is devalued, is going to be a great opportunity for many companies to go and compete in the international markets because we have good talent and capacity. On the other hand, I just wanted to just pick the thing what you talked about, that rooster, the working from remotely for organizations. I think one thing many organizations are scared of going remote is the amount, the kind of security that they should be able to bring into that environment. Security in the sense, data security and other impact that might have with the remote working. So I think there are solutions for that, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe I don't want to expose my banking details in a public podcast, but I can guarantee you, my bank is a global top in the global top 5 banks. So it's not some little local bank where they allow people to sit home and take the calls, without security. International banks might even, and terms and conditions. It was interesting because one of the things we always talk about is, for example, okay, can you work remotely? What about the signature? Can the signature be remote? Can you sign a document electronically? Is it valid in court? And when during the call there was a certain number of things I had to agree on, and she said, "Okay, I'm going to read now some terms and conditions, and after that, you have to say that you agree with this because we are recording this for our file." So why are they doing that if it's not legal? Why are they doing that if it's not valid? Why are they doing that if it's not holding in court, right? So I think we having a lot of questions and challenges, but we need to move on. We need to move forward, and the way to move forward is digital. And I assure you that as a company, whether you're an IT company, you're not an IT company, if you look at this as an opportunity to restructure, then you will be more competitive than your competitors. And I think that's where the opportunity is. It's not really to cope with the situation, but to do things different and elaborate on that situation to create a technology advantage, to take a problem and turn it into a benefit for you. So in the fight for the customer, that you are able to manage yourself better. Maybe you can have reduced cost. Maybe you can have better services. Maybe you see better service. For example, in this case, talking to the bank, it felt quite more friendly, actually. In some way, it felt almost like you're talking to somebody that you know, even though I never talked to this lady before. And just because you know that she's at home, she's in a familiar environment, and she's helping me with my problem, it was humanizing kind of the very standard cold call center kind of experience, right?
Absolutely. One thing I have noticed is many, like for an example, if you sign something, if you get some approvals, right? And we are very much closer to seeing the physical signing and physically, getting the signatures, right? And so having done that on remotely, to build confidence, there are multiple techniques, right, we use, and I think the signing, not only signing, even the logging into to an application, this dual authentication mechanism, and there are multiple methods. I think we should elaborate a little bit more for people who are still being bit scared to go for digital technologies, with remote work, how can they overcome those challenges?
Yeah, I think in many ways it's just a matter of doing it, right, and leading somewhere, because at the end of the day you cannot be kept in a framework, and you cannot disrupt anything without taking some risk. And I think you cannot keep on saying, "Oh, I don't want to take that risk." There are definitely opportunities in your organization for digital transformation where the risk is worth it, where you are getting something more out of this. See, how many people do you think is going to take their bank to court, where they are going to dispute that recording and that yes or no, compared to the amount of transactions that they can do by doing it, right? So there's a certain trade-off where you have to say the risk. It's like it's like you have a supermarket. You don't have somebody walking around behind every shopper to make sure they don't steal, because if you do that, they will buy less. So there's a certain level of trust you have to put into people that is good for business. So I think it's the same thing here. And I think, if you think about the opportunity you will get out of a crisis, you have to value that and try. I know it's difficult to think like this. I know that it's easier to struggle. Honestly, it's easier to struggle. It's easier to feel pity for yourself. It's easier to feel that you are in a troubled situation. And I don't want to say that the situation is not a crisis. It is a crisis. But sitting down in a corner and say we are in a crisis is not going to make the crisis go over. The only thing that will make the crisis go over is to do something about it. And as an individual, as an organization, what is it that you can do? I mean, maybe you cannot get that fuel tanker in with the gasoline to help the gasoline prices, but if you can enable your people to work from home so they don't have to pay for fuel, and if you can support them in that effort with the gear that they need, with the framework that they need, and if you can use that to humanize your customer service in a way that probably you could not have done before, then look at all these cool IT companies who are putting, breakfast buffets and free beer at 4:00 and all this stuff. What are they trying to emulate? They're trying to emulate your home, right? They're saying this is not an office, this is home. But in this case, actually, you are at home. If I want to go and get a beer right now, I can just go and get a beer. Nobody's going to stop me, right? It's
Absolutely.
almost 5:00 here, and if I want to have a beer, during the call or the next call, I can do that. Just like if I went to WeWork or any of those cool co-working places, right? So now people are at home. Let's make the best of that, and let's not try to force them to go back to the office just because we can.
Yeah, I was also a bit upset, how Elon Musk was, talking about it. Yeah. So anyway, we are not forcing any one of our people to go back to office, right? And we are happy working from home. And I think we are more productive, than any other time that we have ever seen in our careers. So I think working remotely, it was a very interesting meeting I had while I was traveling, from the one gentleman from the apparel industry I met. He was talking about, bringing resilience to their operations. So they are also, Sri Lanka also one of the leading apparel manufacturers, and of course Bangladesh is becoming again, much more. You can say a much bigger market, and also they are also having a lot of companies. So he was explaining that most of the organizations have manufacturing happening in multiple locations. So they are moving into Vietnam, Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka. So everywhere they have this large organization. So they are. And they are also used to remoting it. They have remote manufacturing facilities, and so it is not actually new. Even though we feel it is new, or working remote and remoting, even though even factories. He says sometimes you don't even you might have not even seen the factories. because there are some standards that they follow, and they are being able to validate those things digitally, then they're being able to outsource. So I think this is an opportunity, and I think we are re-emphasizing something that we have already have experience on.
Yeah. So I think the shorter version is that we are in a very critical and very difficult situation, but the only way to move over that is, at least mentally, getting to the next step by trying to see some of the benefits, or some of the, maybe it's not benefits directly, but some of the opportunities we might have. So what do you think that people should think about when they want to? If somebody's listening here, I would hope, and said, okay, that sounds great. Now, what is it that they want me to invest in terms of technology? What is it that they think that I should do that would help me in this situation, not only to fix some problems that I might have, but also to put me in a competitive advantage over everybody else that is trying to make it these days? What is it that a company should do? Where should they invest, in your view, Wasantha?
I think, Lars, I think I will turn this one into a question back, to ourselves.
I think I've been talking enough.
Oh, really?
Yeah, now it's your turn to answer.
Yeah, okay. So I would ask myself,
okay,
what makes us?
I like that.
What makes us?
You can also vote for yourself. Hello.
I'll ask myself why I cannot work remotely. What stops me being able to digitally participate in the business, or to improve the business, by not having to be in the office. So, and I think there are only a few small factors, because we've been repeating this all the time. All the organizations have big ERP solutions and maybe line of business solutions, but they lack sometimes the smaller stuff that makes you work or make decisions. Maybe your content is still in analog format, maybe in paper or in some sort of a file repository. So, which you need to get it digitized. I think that's one of the things that you need to really focus if you wanted to enable working remotely. So, and maybe some approval processes. If the business requires certain amount of business, and maybe authentication. How do you know that some approvals are authentic? Maybe get a digital authentication mechanism, or a validation mechanism so the people whoever approve things are valid. There are multiple things, so I would say that it will be different from individual organization to organization. But what you need to look at it first, to support your business, and if you wanted to think of taking your employees to be able to work remotely, then look at what stops you doing it. If it is not, then do it. Then you don't need to add anything new. But if there are smaller things or something is hindering, then address that and fix it. That's my advice.
Okay, so the investment should go into enabling remote work.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. And what about the security of that, which is what we started out with when I mentioned my bank? So why is it that people think it's not secure?
It's more than what people think, Lars. If you have a data center of your own, physical, then 90% of the time, you are very vulnerable, because at the rate of, today the cyber threats and cyber attacks are growing. It becomes very, very difficult for smaller or medium-sized even organizations to keep their data centers very secure by opening it via the to work remotely. So if you are thinking of remote working, probably you need to go to a cloud-based solution, where the cloud vendors are really day in, day out, they invest billions of dollars to keep their infrastructure secure, right? So I think that is again now a problem, and now we have to go to cloud, right? Okay. We have to also pay for the cloud. So there are of course problems also associated with that, but that is something important you need to look at. If you're remoting.
Yeah, so I think that's important because a lot of organizations or individuals taking decisions around IT thinks that these solutions should be free or cheap, right? I cannot buy it in a tangible way, and I'm so used to everything that I use in my private life is free, right? I have a free YouTube, I have a free Facebook and TikTok, and all this doesn't cost any money. And Google is free, and my email is free, and so on. So as a company, I should also get all this for free. But we are really talking here about investing, right? We are talking about putting some money where your ambitions are, putting some investment into this to make it work. And talking about the bank, one of the concerns of course you have is that, okay, in a call center environment, for example, the call center agents are not allowed to have phones. Because they can use the phone to take a picture of clients' names and transactions on the screen. And of course, if they are home, you cannot control that. So obviously, we are talking about maybe having 2 channels of information. Certain things you can easily do at home, and certain things you cannot do at home. So it comes back to your investment in your systems, right? I mean, there might be some transactions that when you call up the bank and click your account number and your thing. Okay, if you're going to talk about something that does not require the agent to pull up my transaction history on their screen, I get converted to somebody who's at home, right? Or if it's something that is more controlled, you get converted to somebody or transferred to somebody who's in a more controlled environment. So that goes back to the investment you are making in this. You cannot expect you move all your employees at home and then you have the same kind of setup like you have in the office. There will be different, right? So you need to think about that. You need to invest in that. But the solution is not, let's put them all back in the office, or let's put them all at home, but some kind of a hybrid environment where things are managed properly. I think that you have to invest in this, just like you invest in factories and you invest in machinery or in cars and infrastructure and things. You have to invest in your IT as well to get the benefit of this, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So can we talk forever, or we are?
We can, but we don't have to. But I think we have been around this pretty good. You talked about outsourcing a little earlier, where you said, okay, we can also start to export our services and things. And of course, there is a global economy, and it's easier to work with people across boundaries, and we can feel that ourselves because, okay, you went twice to Bangladesh, but in the last 2.5 years we didn't go anywhere else, right? But we've still been working every day together. So definitely opportunities are there. So yeah, so I think Sri Lanka, cheer up and fix your problems long term. But meanwhile, individuals and companies, have a more try to see, okay, what can I do for myself as well today? Not just what could I wish that the country was doing, or what could I wish the politicians would be doing, because that has to happen as well. That has to happen, but it's not going to fix any problems today. It might fix problems in a year or 2 years or 3 years, or hopefully, but you are in charge of your own situation. You are your own boss, as we say in Tech One. You are in charge of your own situation, and you need to fix yourself with the priorities. And I'm sure that digital, because of course we are talking about digital because that's our business. If you are in a different kind of business, maybe we could discuss that. But that's our expertise, right? So how can digital technology help you? Well, you can fast track your digital transformation. That's it.
Yeah, Lars, so I think not only digital, we can do some stuff like analog as well, planting some trees. I know that you also did, in Philippines.
Yeah, that's our, so that's what happens when everybody's working from home is that they rarely meet each other, right? So then you still need to have some bonding and some activities where you do something together, right? So I think that that has to be there. So just because you're working from home, you should not be isolated. We did go back to our office, some of us, and had a meeting. It was very good to have a meeting in person. And there was 2 people in the meeting who were not there, and they were obviously kind of disconnected. We had to ask are you still there? Yes, they were still there, but they didn't say anything, and they were kind of listening in, where the people who were sitting there, even the person who didn't say anything, we can still see that they're kind of nodding and accepting or agreeing with what is being said. So it is different when you are not in front of each other, and it should not be either or. It should be both. And I think like we had a tricky situation to discuss. Some technical stuff we needed to crack, and it was easier for us to crack it when we were sitting together around the table and debating it freely than it would have been in a call.
Yes,
and I think we should also not forget that aspect of our interaction. But meanwhile, if it's not possible, then look at what is the opportunities in the not possible.
yes.
Okay. So good luck, Wasantha, and hope to see you soon. It's been a long time, many years. So we have not seen each other since March of 2019. So after my vacation, I will definitely make it to Sri Lanka and look forward to seeing all of you. And meanwhile, keep safe and good luck.
Thank you, Lars. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to rate and review our podcast, and be sure to subscribe to get the latest updates. Let's talk again soon.